Record. That's a good time to say. I was just about to tell you I don't have a formed opinion on it yet, though.
Sweet. Oh, you don't?
No, not yet. Well, I mean, I got lots of, but we'll dive into it. Welcome.
Triumphal entry.
Welcome to the first true 2026 recording of Lawless
Yeah.
podcast with Justin and Clayton. Man, new year, same old Justin and Clayton, maybe a little bit of a trim. I'm Clayton. This is my best friend, Justin Kraft, and we're here to spread a little light. We got some lights,
You
and we're
know,
not we're not gonna hide them.
for those not under a bushel, no. For those that are listening and not watching the video episode, I was just raising the roof
Right.
as you're introducing myself. And one of the things that we're going to do, or one of the things that we aim to do, is raise the roof.
If they
You know,
want to see you raise the roof, what should they do? Where should they go? Is there a specific platform over the other that if they want to go to where they could see you raising the roof?
I would go to YouTube.
I would
That
go to
would I would
YouTube.
go to YouTube. Yep, that would be ideal.
If you want to get the full experience, the full lawless experience, and you know,
Submit. Never mind.
if you want to get the full lawless experience, go to YouTube. I was just gonna say, what is it? What do they say as a disclaimer? Like results may vary. Like listen at
Yes.
your own risk. If you want to see us and hear us, go ahead and come on down to YouTube. Enough of that. Um, 2026, we're here. Before we go anywhere else, if you want to write in, if you want to comment, if you want to send a line to us directly, or if you want to connect to us professionally for advertisements, drop us a line at podcastlawless@gmail.com. We are going through it, we are replying, and we're getting everything as it comes.
Clayton, I don't know if this is appropriate, and if it's not, you can cut this out. Is it appropriate to tell potential advertisers how many views they may get? How many views we're getting?
Well, yeah, I mean, sure, it's appropriate. Right now, this is January. We're recording this January 8th of 2026, and we adapted and grew our business model at the end of last year. Our business model meaning how we put out our content, and we went from a prime, and we still are, like, the podcast is a long form podcast, but surprisingly, some not everyone has the appetite for 2 hours, 2+ hours. So what we started doing was cutting it up into shorts, cutting it up into reels. That's how the kids
Jorts. Cutting up
jorts,
into jorts.
cutting it up into jorts. I'm a wizard with denim. Um, Cutting it up into jorts and putting them on the socials. And that was a nasty cough. I'm glad I have a mic that I can mute now, because that was like a 50
They're
year old
thick.
man. Yeah, 50-year-old smoker's cough. I'll get to that. I got an upper respiratory thing. But we went from, like, we were averaging like 3,300 views a month is what we were. That was our normal flow, about 3 to 4,000 views a month. And in December we had over 22,000 views. That's an exponential growth
Yeah,
for
dog.
us.
That's awesome.
That was exponential growth.
That is awesome. And so what that means, I think, to potential advertisers is we could probably find a way. I don't know how we would do it, overlay the screen or something, to where they could get that many views.
That's
They
that's
could
how
join
this
on.
works. That's how this works. Our 22,000 views will hear us on every short, or like as or see it on the shorts, or maybe hear it on the part of the show that we talk about it. We'll hear your business. Those 22,000 views that see us will see your image, and
Yeah.
if that's the one that's on.
And I'm sure we could post links and do whatever. So anyway,
That's right.
that's pretty cool. And we've got some big things coming for 26. We've got some improvements and we're leveling up a bit. And so it's
Yeah,
only going to get better.
we're bringing on some staff,
Get in on the ground floor.
getting in. So 2025, even though there was an episode that came out last week, it's been a minute since you and I got to chat. It's definitely been a minute since you and I got to record. How has life been since, I guess the last time we recorded was the beginning of December? or like second week of December. How's life
Man,
been since then?
it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Life has been good.
Yeah.
I would say that well, really probably the past month, maybe the past 3 weeks or so, I feel like I've had some pretty significant growths. I could stop there. That would be really gross.
Just really
Just some
significant
significant
growth.
growths,
Hell
some
yeah.
significant growth
More than one.
in some spiritual practices and ideas and thoughts, and just doing pretty good emotionally, mentally, physically. Nah, not so much physically. My cardio has gotten terrible. I've really slacked the past month,
Yeah.
and I went to the gym a couple days ago, and it was pretty pathetic. But what are you gonna do? You gotta
Have you
start
been
back.
getting in? Have you been getting in any miles?
No, I went for 3 miles. I walked, ran 2.5. But it's not funny. It's just the way of life, and I know this. I've known this for a long time. That if you don't use it,
You lose it.
if you take it for granted, you will lose it.
Lose it.
And
Yeah.
I'm not.
It's
You know,
fitness, it's shooting for the cops and the gun guys, the vets that listen to this. You just because you qualified back in 2013 doesn't mean you still know how to shoot, son.
man, I I ran a marathon 2 years ago, full marathon 2 years ago,
26 point
6.2,
26.2.
and I struggled to run 2.5 miles yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it's a nature, it's a rule of life. It's
Like you said, you got to
rule of
start
nature.
off. You really those. I think the key to building back endurance, especially when you get a little bit up there in years, but the key to getting back in your flow of endurance is your heart rate. You got to focus on them heart zones. Like if you got a watch or something like that,
Yeah.
you need try to stay. And it's painfully slow at first, but try to stay in zone 2 and 3 for your runs.
Do you really do that?
I try, but I was gonna say, um, I had a knee injury back in December, like in the first week of December. I flexed my knee like in a really weird twangy way. I don't know if I talked about it on here or not, but I thought I was gonna have to have Ashley help me stand up in the backyard, and then I realized she can't pick me up. So
Yeah.
I just had to like grit my teeth and army crawl over to the fence and push myself up till my
Uh,
knee started working again. Anyway, so I took like six weeks off, 5 weeks off. I took 5 weeks off of running. I just totally iced it and elevated at first, but most of December, nothing. Um, I went running for the first time in Denver I went with I went with my brother's boyfriend Matt to the local gym that he goes to, and I just did like a couple shoulder movement, shoulder strength, some lunges, and I was like, okay, I need to get back on this treadmill and see where I am. I ran a solid 5 miles, no problem on the treadmill at
nice.
elevation. I was smoked all day. The elevation got me, but I came back here and today went running with Caleb. Caleb moved back in with me and took him on a run and I had to flex on him a little bit.
Yeah.
I had to show him. We'll see how that goes with
Was that successful? Did you
yeah.
successfully fly? Yeah, really.
It was not a very mindful moment. It's not in any of the keys like
It's not
the practices that I've been picking up.
it's not part of the Eightfold Path.
It's not part of it's not it doesn't fall in with the Four Noble Truths or the Eightfold Path. But I had to flex on him, son. Um
How did you flex on him? Just trying to run faster than him, or did you like keep running
well
after you got after you crossed the finish line?
no well it depends who you ask about that last one. But it's kind of similar to the Roscoe story. He set the pace for the first mile. I wanted to run next to him. Like I wanted to run shoulder to shoulder, and he kept trying to get in front of me. So I was like, okay. So I I stayed with him as he was getting in front of me, and we crossed the first mile at 7 minutes and 59 seconds.
Let me ask you this: was it ever communicated what was happening, or was it just nonverbal? Like he's going faster now, you're going faster, than he's going faster, and like, did you talk about, hey, slow down?
There was some talk about that, not before or during, but definitely afterwards. There was lots
Okay.
of talk of like, um, no, I told him this is a 5 mile course in my neighborhood. I got a 5 mile map. Just I'm not trying to race. I'm not trying to do anything. Let's just take it nice and cruise. Let's just cruise. And he's always been like, okay, old man, you think you can keep up with me? Because he did get a little faster than me when he was running cross country and when he was 17.
Yeah,
He actually got a lot faster than me.
yeah,
But he hasn't been running since he graduated. I don't know where this hubris came from. It's just the young man's ego.
yeah.
Well, old Papa Smurf over here has been running. I have been putting in the miles. So the first, like I said, we crossed the first mile at 7:59, and I looked at him and I stopped to look at him. I was like, dude, I haven't ran a mile that fast in years. What are we doing? And no breathing or nothing, or no talking. He just kind of slows down. So I keep the pace that he set. I keep the pace that he set, and I get like a block in front, or like half a block in front of him. And I slow down, slow down, slow down. And when I turn around, this dude's walking.
Oh no.
I know. So I'm like, oh, son, you lost it. So
Yeah.
that's like at 1.5 miles that happened. So I finished my route in the neighborhood and come back. He ran, I guess, half the route. He went to the one end and then back to the house and
Okay.
stopped.
Did
So,
you, when you came back? I guess it's a loop.
uh-huh.
Have you ever been in a situation where you're on a group run? I'm thinking of in the academy.
Uh-huh.
There are there are other times I've done it at races where you're with somebody else and you finish first, and then you run back to get them, and
Yeah,
then
that's the
run
flex.
back.
That's the real flex.
That's a real
I
flex.
always did that. Just so you know, I always did that. I made sure I finished first and then would go back to the last guy.
Yeah, I don't think that I was ever the recipient of that grace, but I have done it a time or two. Not to intentionally flex, but come on, we're not done yet. Hurry up, let's go.
Pick it up. Pick it up. Come on, let's go. You're not finished. Don't
Yeah.
walk.
So how was your Christmas break and the past 6 weeks?
Oh, it was really well. We had some awesome conversations. Like we had some awesome podcasts at the end of December. So I got to kind of sit back and enjoy the fruits of our labor a little bit, listening to the shows and listen and getting into like Benny Ho's social media.
Do you laugh and like do you just really enjoy our show?
It's funny, right?
Dude,
It's
I
good.
I'll listen, and it's stuff that we said. Like I was there, and
Uh-huh.
I'll just start cracking up. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, we're funny.
Yeah, we're a couple of we're pretty good at this.
Couple
And
hoots.
a couple hoots. There's some inside jokes that are constantly boiling up kind of to the surface, but it's just between us and those who know. I imagine there's some other people listening that know, but we're never some of the inside jokes we never quite let come all the way up.
Yeah.
It's just stuff from the good old days. But yeah, I love listening to us. I've been talking with Original Influencer more. He sent us a song and gave us
Yeah.
permission to play it on here.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
I shared that song with Margaret, and she
Oh,
said
really?
I sent it to her, and she said I need you to tell him to release the song immediately.
He's supposed to be releasing it. They've made shorts of it. I've seen shorts of the song up already, but I haven't seen the whole thing. I know he's dropping it in January.
See?
Yep.
And that'll be under Joshua Colburn.
Josh Coburn Music on Spotify and I think YouTube Music also. But yeah, I've just kind of been enjoying. I had a hellacious road trip. The type of road trip that should be the cherry on the cake. We're finishing road trips for a good long while here. And this was the road trip to finish the road trips. We drove from basically Mobile, Alabama in a Suburban, in a full-size Suburban with me, my wife, and two small children, and all the Christmas presents and all the clothes and all the snacks and the coolers and the food. And also I brought a I had to bring an electric snow shovel that I've been having in my house forever. I brought that to Colorado. So
An
that was
electric
in
snow shovel.
it's a snow shovel you plug into and it has a turbine. It's a snow plow. It's
Oh, okay.
like a
Yeah.
personal snow plow. So that was in the Suburban. We drove that from Mobile to basically Little Rock, Arkansas. Was there for a night and a day, and then from Little Rock to Wichita, was there for a couple days. See my wife's father side of the family, which is always a hoot. It's been years since I've seen a lot of them. And then for Christmas Eve and Christmas and the days after, we went to Denver, Colorado. My first time going to Denver. Mom-in-law didn't come with us this time. But that didn't stop us from remembering her and having a real good time in her absence. We had a real good time in her absence. It was 75 degrees on Christmas Day
In
in
Denver.
in Denver.
Denver, Colorado.
In Denver. The day after Christmas, we went up to go tubing. There wasn't real snow on the mountains except for the snow that they had blown onto the side of the hill that we went tubing down. And dude, it was one of the best times of my life going tubing down the
Yeah.
hill.
I saw that video. You guys looked like you were flying.
Yeah, it's scary fast.
And it looked like, so if I remember right, you had some single tubes, and then did you go on like a big family tube?
Well, what they do is every tube has like this dog leash attached to it. And what you can do is put that through the handle of someone else's tube. And
Okay.
you can do it, make a daisy chain, or you can make a little like a triangle or a four,
Okay.
whatever you want to do. It starts to get a little sketchy. And this, I think it was still like maybe at altitude, it must have been in the 50s, but it was still very warm. Like I could have been in my t-shirt
Ah,
and gone down this hill. So the top layer was frozen a little bit, very compacted, and we would just go zipping and sliding down that hill like at pretty significant speeds. But
that's awesome. And everybody did it, the little kids too.
yeah, it wasn't at a terrible angle, but it was just a very long hill. That's where you build speed is just the momentum. And they had a nice flat spot to disperse all that energy and slow down.
How long of a ride was it? How long was the trip?
You get a 2 hour ticket. So we had it from 12 to 2. It was like $60 a person, or maybe not even, maybe like $40 a person, $47 a person. And you get a wristband, and they only let so many groups onto the hill in that 2 hour time spot. So you'd have your fun, and that the 2 hours, like, all right, blue wristbands need to come off the hill, and then the pink ones go up.
Do you like ride a magic carpet, like a
Yep,
conveyor belt?
yep,
And then
yep.
how long is the run? Is what I meant to ask.
Oh, I don't know the distance in feet. I should have. I
Did it
failed.
did it seem like 100 yards or more?
Oh, definitely. I would say from top of the hill to where you're standing up is about 150 yards. So
Okay.
it's a good long
Yeah,
distance that
that's
you're
that's a good
traveling.
that's a good trip on a tube.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures and videos of the ski reports of the ski resorts. Dude, there's no snow
There's no
anywhere.
snow. There's no snow.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
It kind of lets you know, and I always think about this the few times that I have gone skiing, but like what's under the snow that you're zipping down at 70
Yeah,
miles
yeah,
an hour? Rocks and trees and fallen logs because you see it when there's no
yeah.
snow. You're like, oh, that's a minefield.
Yeah. I'm hoping something comes before we're going out there in February, going snowboarding out in Leadville. So hopefully they get some snow before then because I ain't trying to snowboard on mud.
Yeah, that'd be weird. No, Colorado was awesome. The whole road trip was awesome. Came back, brought my boy back with me to back to Alabama, and we're, you know, uh, getting enrolled in schools and getting in jobs and part-time jobs and doing all the young man stuff. It's cool. And getting back in shape and getting smoked by dad. That's what's happening.
That's right. That's right. Well, good. It sounds like you had a good break.
Yeah, I did. I did. Um, I made a yeah. This is fine too. This is more us. I want to get to current events. We're gonna because there's been a lot of
There's a
them,
bunch.
but kind of in the spirit of like what happened over the Christmas break and where we were talking about a little bit about before this. I've made I mean enough to fully upset what fundamentalist Christian audience that we have left. I know there is quite a bit. Um, but I made a kind of a conscious decision to lean into Buddhism a little bit more lately. For a couple reasons, for actually all the good reasons to me, but I guess the highlight of the reasons are Buddhism really is a religion of no religion. I'm not the one that come up with that phrase. Alan Watts, I heard that from Alan Watts, but I'm pretty sure he's not the one that come up with it either. It's been around for a while. I think Alan Watts even identified himself as a Zen Buddhist practitioner.
Now, what is? I've got an idea, but what does that mean to you? The religion of no religion.
Oh, well, there's definitely no one you're praying to. You're not there's you could say there's been messiah figures and there's one big messiah figure in Buddhism, which is the Buddha himself. But what's really cool about the Buddha, and even in like dogmatic Buddhism, which is what I'm not trying to get into dogmatic anything right now, but even like the dogmatic Buddhism will teach you that the Buddha is in you. You are the Buddha, actually.
Yeah.
Like the teacher is you, and the teacher is the universe, and you are the universe, or at least you're part of it. And uh yeah, so there's no one that you're praying to. There's no Messiah figure except for the Messiah figure that you have access to. What's cool about Buddhism, I mean, I'm just gonna read the Four Noble Truths. This is like
Okay.
Sunday school Buddhism.
There we go.
And it's like I said, don't be offended. I'm definitely not telling you to believe this. I'm not telling you this is what you have to believe. I'm not forcing my family to believe this. There's about to hear a door. You're about to hear a doorbell. Oh no, one of my daughter's friends just came up to the door, but I ain't gonna answer it. Did you hear that?
I did not.
Okay, that's fine. Four Noble Truths, and you can take this, like I said, take it or leave it. First one is life involves suffering. Like in life, there is suffering. That's true, right? That's a
Check.
universal truth. Second noble truth: this suffering stems from craving slash attachment. Suffering stems from craving and attachment. It's kind of the same thing. That's a
Put a pin in that because I want to talk about that.
okay, definitely. I'll put a little heart next to it. Third noble truth: suffering. This is like the good news. This is the first gospel. This is the first good news coming to you. Suffering can ease and stop. Like the suffering and attachment, you can ease it and stop it. And the fourth noble truth is the path to end suffering is the noble eightfold path, or sometimes they'll say the path to end suffering is mindfulness. And mindfulness is a word is how Buddhists will describe the eightfold path. Like,
So there's four noble truths.
mhm.
Three of them are kind of declarations, and the fourth is go next to the Eightfold Path.
Yes,
And do you have the Eightfold Path in front of you?
I do. As a matter of
Perfect.
fact, I
We
wrote it
didn't even
down.
plan this.
We didn't. We didn't. This is the Holy Spirit. The first eightfold path, and I've listened to a couple books, like notably the Eightfold Path for Beginners and the Four Noble Truths for Beginners. And let me give a shout out to the author because those are both on Audible. And if you have an Audible subscription, they're in the or Audible membership, they're in the Free,
Nice.
um, by Kim Pon. Eightfold Path for Beginners, and Kim Pon, same author, The Four Noble Truths for Beginners.
How do you spell that last name?
Phan. And Kiam is Khiem.
Oh boy.
So
Start
it's,
over. I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. Kiam, Khiem.
Okay.
And the last name is Phan, Phan.
Okay.
And that's, she has a, or he or she, I can't tell. I don't know. Has a couple publications on Audible, but the ones that I'm listening to are The Four Noble Truths for Beginners and The Eightfold Path for Beginners. But one of the things that I got, that's what the sidetrack came from, is that the author says, and it's kind of, I guess, a Buddhist teaching, is that the Eightfold Path isn't a consecutive. You don't go from one to two to three. All of these things, you're supposed to be building a small practice with all of these things together. And all of these things together is the practice of mindfulness, which will
Okay.
ease or alleviate your attachments and cravings.
Okay.
First, first step on the Eightfold Path is right view, and that's comprehend the Four Noble Truths and the nature of reality. So, first step is to just keep the Four Noble Truths into perspective. There is pain. Pain comes from attachment. Pain attachment can end, and the way to end it is the Eightfold Path. Second, no, Eightfold Path step in the Eightfold Path is right intentions, cultivating wholesome thoughts of nonviolence, compassion, renunciation, and avoiding of greed, hatred, and delusion. Just these two, just that, I guess, just that step can make you a much
That'll
better person.
that might fix your life right there.
That step right there can turn you around. Cultivating wholesome thoughts of nonviolence, compassion, and renunciation or avoiding of greed, hatred, and delusion. That can set you up. Third step in the Eightfold Path, right speech. Only say what is true, kind, and helpful. Avoid gossip, harsh words, or idle chatter. Ooh.
Oh well.
Ooh.
Well, I mean,
Ooh.
idle chatter is a matter of opinion.
Right, right, right. They're not talking about what we're doing. We're
Not
chopping
us.
it up.
That's
No,
right.
no, no.
It does. Yeah,
No.
it doesn't say avoid chopping it up.
No, 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 no. So that was right speech, the third step. Fourth step, right actions. Abstaining from killing, that's good. Stealing, sexual misconduct. Again, like if there's laws, like if there's libertarian laws, I would say, of
Huh?
like what for sure can you say that someone should not do? Well, they should avoid killing, they should avoid stealing, and they should avoid sexual misconduct.
I'm fine with all of those.
I'm fine with those three. I think those
Yes.
three would be good. Good views, good laws for life. The fifth step in the Eightfold Path, I apologize for the sniffles. I'm getting at the end of a chest thing that I had. I had it at the end of my vacation. Chest congestion,
It ain't the
neck
brand
thing.
new C word, is it?
No, that's fake. That's liberal
Oh
propaganda.
boy. Oh boy.
I, I'm not a Republican anymore. I didn't say I'm queer. All right. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. All right. Right actions, right livelihood, earn money in a way that doesn't harm others. This is a good, I mean, just a good thing for life. This would involve a change for me, but of earn money in a way that doesn't harm others, i.e., weapons, intoxicants, or slavery. Avoid those things. That last one's not really a departure from anything
Okay.
that I had going on, but I
But
didn't. I never made a job.
you had a career of shaking people down, pulling off some robberies, or
Well, I've always had until besides like uh 4 years ago now, my entire adult life had involved a uniform and a weapon. My entire adult career had involved a uniform and a weapon.
Yeah, that's a little bit different, I think, than what it's talking about. I don't think that Buddhism would have any problem with a warrior protector.
No, I don't think it definitely wouldn't have it involved in warrior protector, but I do think that it is. Yeah, yeah. I don't think I was violating that with my old, but I just think it's worth observing that
Yeah.
like professionally, I had always involved weapons in my career up until 4 years ago. Um, right effort, the sixth step in the Eightfold Path, right effort, striving to prevent negative mental states from arising and developing and develop positive ones. So strive to prevent negative mental states from arising and develop positive ones. So take an active step, not passively, actively avoid negative mental states and actively cultivate positive mental states. I
Okay.
think there's a lot there. There's a lot to chew on there. Seventh step, right mindfulness. Developing. Cash got a duck call for Christmas, and I hear him calling it in the background.
Calling all the ducks.
Calling all ducks, Daphne, Alabama. Right mindfulness. Developing awareness of the body, feelings, mind, and mental objects. And the way that I kind of got the description from the mental objects part was like a be present, be here now, be present, and be here in your body, in your feelings, and then even in your mental state. The last step on the Eightfold Path is right concentration, cultivating a deep meditative absorption, cultivating a practice of meditation, silencing the mind, spending some time every day to silence the mind and to be doing nothing with the mind.
I think those are all real good, and I think that one of the good things about that. Well, you said it at the very beginning. It's the religion of no religion, and I guess maybe it's a little bit contradictory what I'm about to say. Is I think that what Buddhism teaches, what religion teaches, is do these things,
Right.
and what Buddhism teaches is don't do but be.
Yeah.
Be
Calm.
yeah.
Be,
Don't seek it. Be it because it's within you.
yes.
Now,
The peace
uh,
definitely if you follow that path, it's kind of no nonsense. Like there is no have other no God before thee. There is no be at church on Sundays. There's no, no tell whatever. There's none of the theocratical laws that are real heavy in most other religions, but just these simple steps. I mean, I laid out that eightfold path, but right intentions, cultivating wholesome thoughts of nonviolence, compassion, renunciation of avoiding greed, hatred, and delusion. Um, striving to prevent negative mental states from arising and developing positive ones. Developing awareness of be here now, of being in your body and your feelings. Those, I mean, you don't have to know Buddhism to know, like, oh, that'll work. You know what I mean?
is that a contradiction though? To say that Buddhism isn't about doing, it's about being, and then there's
Things to do.
11 things, 12 things, maybe 10 because two of them point to each other. But there's a list of 10 things to do, and we just said it's about not doing but being.
Yeah, but the things that you do are even in are still you're actively avoiding other negative things. Like whenever you cultivate a practice of meditation, that means you're actively learning how to turn off the chatter. Like you're taking the chatter, the monkey mind, all the crazy thoughts, the things that make you get to these wild conclusions sometimes. Another thing that Buddhism teaches from the very beginning, and I heard this in a book from by the Dalai Lama, is they teach, I was going to say preach, but kind of the same thing, that you're not your thoughts and you're not your emotions. You should look at your thoughts and your emotions as clouds passing in the sky. Something to note, but not get swept up in. So when a negative developing that practice of meditation of a calm mind, you can see how I I sometimes chase erratic thoughts to erratic conclusions, like nonsensical conclusions that might put me in a state of anxiety or even despair. That happens usually when, I'm not getting good rest, I'm not getting good sleep, I'm definitely not exercising, I'm not practicing mindfulness or whatever. It happens when I'm kind of passive. The act of turning off the spigot of both positive and negative, or negative and positive thoughts, the act of just taking 5 minutes at first, or even 3 minutes, if that's where you can start, and just listening to your breath, that puts you in the passenger seat. So if all else fails and you're having your anxiety attacks, and I learned this from experience, like, dude, this has saved my life. Breathing exercises. When the EMT shows up and he says, "Hey man, breathe." When the cop shows up and he says, "Breathe." That's the biological truth that we know, like, oh yeah, in, out. That can snap me, like that is the paddles that they put on clear and
Yeah.
shock you, or the EpiPen, whatever they got to do. That is emergency CPR to get you out of a tailspin of anxiety or depression or anger,
Yeah.
which is one of my bugaboos. Yeah.
Um, so the thing that I wanted to kind of go back on the Four Noble Truths, I believe this, and I found this to be true, that suffering comes from craving or aversion, right?
Yeah,
So, but how do you,
definitely.
but how do you live this life with that? That sounds, it's to me, it's kind of like, Buddhism also teaches, we talked about this, Buddhism teaches about loneliness, that the cure for loneliness is recognizing that you're not separate,
Yeah.
recognizing that you're connected, recognizing that there is no distinction. Well, that's great, but you're still by yourself. You still look. So what do you do with that? Like, how is it even possible to live a life with no craving or aversion?
Well, so no one said that it's easy. And actually, the end of the road is enlightenment and whatever that means. But the idea of enlightenment is shedding of the shedding of desires, the shedding of aversions, the shedding of attachment. That's like the heaven. That's the final goal. So it takes a lot to get there. It's not a quick, easy fix. Um, but also, I think that there's ways in there. You had me thinking about loneliness, and like one of Buddhism's answers for loneliness is that you're not really separated from anyone. But also, I think a way to develop a practice, or at least one way to add to developing a practice, is to take a note out of a Buddhist monk's playbook and find someone, another person that you can practice with. So someone that you can bounce ideas off of. Because real Buddhist monks, I mean, the monks are usually in monasteries. They're meditating with other people. That's how they develop that practice. They're learning from someone. They have a teacher, and they get into positions similar to all monastic traditions, but they're volunteering and they're helping and they're taking care of their community. They're doing these chores and connection with the earth and with their community. They see that as part of their meditative practice. I can incorporate that to where, like, I mean, it's kind of the idea of this podcast, even, was us sharing thoughts and developing and growing as part of our personal practice, part of our personal development, and part of our personal growth. I think, yeah, yeah, I think that's part of it, is finding someone or maybe a group of people to bounce ideas off of and grow together.
I wonder if they would say that the key or the way to do it would be to recognize that this physical body this physical body has cravings, and this physical body craves other physical bodies around, their presence, and we want to hear "I love you" from a physical person because we can see that, because that's what, like, we tend to, well, not tend, we definitely, we prioritize what we can see and feel and touch and everything that we can experience with our senses. But Buddhism, I think, would say, but there's a greater level than that.
Yeah.
The physical, what we are experiencing, that's good. That's a thing, but it's down here. If you can rise above that, if you can rise above the physical cravings and recognize that that's just
It's
playing in the
attachment.
dirt.
Yeah.
That's just child's play. The real deal is above that.
Yes.
But again, that sounds great, and I believe that. But man, but I'm still
Much
here.
easier,
I'm
much
still
easier said than
I'm still
done.
flesh and blood, and I still. But the thing is that, but then if you recognize, if you believe that, well, we're all the universe, that
Uh-huh.
when you tell me that you love me, that you're just a representation of the universe telling me that the universe loves me.
Yeah.
And so, like, I guess even the craving of wanting to hear it from another person is
Just wanting to be loved.
right, but recognizing that you already are, because the
Yes.
universe loves you.
Yeah.
And when you say, "Hey, bro, I love you," that's just an echo of the universe. That's like a mouthpiece for the universe, but it was already there. You just voiced it.
Well, and here's what I really want. Me as the person saying, "Hey bro, I love you." I want you to feel loved when I say that. Like in my mind, I want there to be like a white ball, a white orb fly from my chest to your chest, like, "Hey bro, I love you." And I want you to feel that boom,
Yeah,
that love. So I really want you to look in the mirror, even, or I want you to not even be a mirror. That was another thing like that. I was running and chasing a thought the other day, and this is really far out there, but
those are the best. That's one of the things that I haven't done it for a while, but that's one of the things I love about running is the thoughts you can have, the things that
oh
you can
yeah,
process.
talk about DMT or whatever, all the endorphins. I guess I wouldn't know about DMT, but all the endorphins and the dopamines that dump on you whenever you're running and really feeling good. I sent this. Oh, I'm running and this just came to me. There's only one universal consciousness, and any separation from that consciousness is an illusion. And when that consciousness even perceives itself, that perception is still an illusion. Because I don't think yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I was about to say, when you said, that when you tell someone you love them, you want them to feel loved. What if you said it from a sense of, I want you to feel the universe's love.
Yeah.
This isn't even my love.
Yeah.
I'm just a mouthpiece for the universe.
Oh, yeah.
And I
I
want you,
just I
yeah,
just want you to feel loved. Yeah, and that's kind of what I mean. Like whenever I say I love you, I want you to feel loved. I don't want it to be love from Clayton. I
yeah,
want you to feel the love. Like I want you to feel whatever love is. I want you to feel that whenever
yeah,
I say that. Like it's a magic spell. I want to say abracadabra, you be
yeah.
loved.
Now, we talked about this when you stopped by over break. Something that I've been doing, and I'm still doing it, still trying to do it. And I'm probably not being as sneaky as I think I am. But like, I'll be in public places and I'll just kind of consciously just inhale and exhale and really focus on breathing in and out love, like for
Uh-huh.
strangers. So, I'm in the grocery store, I'm in the whatever aisle, and maybe there's people around, maybe there's not. And I'm trying to consciously breathe in the love from the universe and exhale, blow out the love of the universe to
Oh
random
yeah, dog.
strangers. Not even
Yeah.
saying anything, not even sometimes looking at them, just really trying to almost be like a Wi-Fi booster, right? Like I'm receiving the signal here and I'm boosting it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. You know the Gospel of Thomas. Have you ever heard about the Gnostic or the apocryphal Gospel of Thomas?
I've heard of it, but I've never looked into it.
Well, one of the things that I mean, it was written in the first or second century AD, the same time as many other books of the New Testament were being written and canonized, or not even canonized, but being written and formed at that the same time. But in the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says, "The kingdom of heaven is within you." Actually, I want to get it verbatim what he
Dude,
says.
there's so much in the Gospels that when you look at them from a different perspective, from not the dogmatic perspective, that you're like, dude, this is exactly what he's saying.
Yeah.
I think that Jesus. Now I don't think that he said a lot of the things that are in the Bible, but a lot of the things that are in the Bible, I think that you could extrapolate to mean that you and I are God in the same sense that he was God, and in the same sense that we're all God.
Well, some first and second century Christians believed with you, and Jesus said, according to these first and second century Christians, not 2,000 year later Christians in Kansas and Alabama, but first century boots on the ground, as they would say, Christians thought that Jesus said, if those who lead you say to you, see, the kingdom is in the sky, then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. When you come to know yourselves, then you will be known, and you will realize that you are children of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, you will dwell in poverty, and you are at poverty. That is Buddha saying that there is suffering, but there's a way to escape suffering, and that suffering and that way to escape it is mindfulness, is within, not in the sky. If it was in the sky, the birds would be there. If it was in the sea, the fish would be there. Nah, homie, the answer is in you. The kingdom of heaven is in you.
And you are the universe. You're part of the universe, and the universe is within you, and the universe is all around you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Woo!
Okay, so what does that mean that you're leaning into that? Like you're gonna just try to start focusing on those tenets, those practices.
Well, what it's looking like for me so far has been I listen to these Audible books over and over again when I have the chance. Um, I write out my feelings, my thoughts about these new ideas that I'm presented with. I try to take 7 minutes. I put 7 minutes on my timer this morning to sit on my back porch and meditate in silence. I have been measuring my responses to my family. I try to make them either kind. I try to make them both kind, helpful, and true. And it has in real time helped my responses with my family. But I like to be a smartass sometimes, and sometimes I do respond. This is another thing is this is part of my journey on anger management is really what it comes down to is I'm trying to control my emotions, and one of those emotions is anger. So whenever I get my tail feathers ruffled and get my skirt blown up, instead of responding in anger, I have been actively trying to take a breath, a beat. Is this kind, helpful, and true? And I'll try to say it in a kind and helpful way. Like, hey, I know you think it's time to play video games, but it's not. Okay, the bus is gonna be here in 3 minutes. Instead
It's
of,
actually time for you to get your ass back to your bedroom and get your clothes on.
yeah, yeah, that's what I'm trying to avoid. But yeah, I'm just so what it's looking like. Instead of me saying John 3:16 and getting down on my knees and crossing my hands, I am taking time to spend time with God. I am taking very real time to spend time with God, except just that definition has changed. I'm still leaning into fundamental teachings that try to help me be a good person. Just those teachings have changed slightly, but even those are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to take real actionable steps to make my personal life, not the world. I'm not proselytizing. I guess I kind of am right now. But my practice is I'm taking steps to just make my responses and my control of emotions a little bit better right now. That's all I'm trying to do is just improve my little garden, my little square.
I think this is an okay kind of proselytizing because I think that you're not religion throws a lot of burdens on people.
Yeah.
I mean, it throws a lot of guilt and shame and fear and otherness. You know,
Yeah.
it's a religion's a burden. I think that what you're leading people to is freedom, or at least what you're offering, what you're suggesting. Like
Yeah.
you have found a path that leads you to peace
Yes.
and love, and I don't know what this word is, but I hear it a lot in Buddhist type teaching. Equanimity.
Mm.
What the fuck is equanimity? I have no idea. I could probably Google it or I could dictionary it, but you are offering a solution for rest and peace.
That makes me think there is a Buddhist thing, a Buddhist idea, and it's in all of these philosophies and theologies, but of constant meditating on virtues while you're meditating. And so this was in Stoicism and even in the New Testament with the fruits of the Spirit. But one of the things that I've done for years and trying to do kind of actively now is while I'm meditating, so like with Stoicism, think wisdom, courage, justice, temperance. And then I just kind of let that roll into kindness, love, peace, joy, um, whatever, long suffering, goodness, kindness, the fruits of the spirit. What Buddhism does is, or one of the things that I've been doing is concentrating on those things while I'm meditating. So to think that wisdom, what does wisdom mean? And there's other teachings on that, but just concentrating on it for you. I don't know where I was getting to with that, but yeah.
Um, just to bring things full circle, I finally decided to go ahead and look up what equanimity means, and
Oh,
it's
I was
not
gonna. Is it like
it's not
temperance?
yeah, it's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
It's not spelled how you would think, but it's the quality of being calm and even tempered, composure,
that's what I
evenness of
thought
mind.
of was temperance.
Yeah.
Some people, that's the same Greek word as discipline. Like Ryan Holiday interprets that word, the Greek word, to mean discipline. But even then, I think the idea is that everything is temperate or everything is even keeled, like you're in balance with the way things should be. You're not riding high on anger or sadness or pleasure or pain. You're just, that's the goal, is to be calm,
Yeah.
to be temperate. Okay, that's enough time on that. What was that? An hour and 5 minutes on how we're feeling?
Yeah.
That's why we're chopping this up, folks. That's why we're releasing reels and shorts.
George, God damn it.
Shorts. Um, so what do you think is, I guess, the biggest thing has been in current events since 2026 has kicked off? We're only on the eighth day.
Whew.
We're only on
That's
the
tough.
eighth day.
We got a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
Um,
What's the biggest one?
well, I'm going to pick two of them.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, and I'll no, I'll say two, and you can pick which one. Venezuela
Hmm.
and the shooting involving uh, ICE agent yesterday in Minnesota.
Man, so I got a lot to talk about on Venezuela, but I want to dive into the shooting because I'm interested to see where you're at. I'm not settled on how I feel about the shooting and that happened. Maybe I don't know enough. What? Tell me about it.
So, I saw yesterday. I didn't know what it was about. I saw yesterday some friends on Facebook had posted about the first one that I saw said that if I had seen a group of masked agents running toward my vehicle, screaming profanities, trying to kidnap me, I'd have tried to run away too. And something about they murdered this woman, and I was like, oh boy. Then I saw somebody else post something about federal agents murdering somebody, and finally I watched the video. And the first thing that I think is really important to say is that there are people in this country that have had a vastly different experience from me.
Hmm.
and a vastly different experience from you.
Yeah.
And it's very easy, I think, to say, well, she should have just stopped, or if she'd have done this, or if she'd have done that. And I've been saying this my entire adult life from a policing perspective. If even going back all the way back to Rodney King, if he'd have just complied,
Yeah.
okay, that's something I can say from my perspective. But there are people, whether it's based on truth or it's based on propaganda or it's based on somebody else's experience, I don't know. But there are people that are legitimately afraid of law enforcement.
Yes.
Period.
I got that feeling in Denver, and it was new to me. My doorbell's about to ring. There's kids running in and out of my house. There's, I saw people that I love, people in my family, but happened to be homosexual or, yeah, these guys happen to be homosexual, but they come from Denver, and in Denver, there's lots of like, there's trans people around, and there's everything. You know, Denver is very
Yeah, it's a
liberal. People that I love are afraid for their physical safety to come visit me in Alabama.
yeah,
For real.
yeah,
And which seems crazy. I laugh at them. I'm like, dude, it's 2026. This was 2025. I was like, it's 2025. No, you're
yeah,
gonna be just fine. But that's my view. That's I haven't lived their life. I
yeah,
don't know their perceptions. And like it wasn't funny to them. They were honestly afraid of coming to Alabama to visit me because of their view of the world.
yeah. And so I'm no longer in a position where I can just say, you're full of shit. You should just get over it. Like whatever. I think it's at least worth considering. And also, I think it's worth considering in this specific scenario, perception, it plays a huge role in justification or whether the officer was justified or not. It's all
So how
based on
does
his perception.
it's based on his perception. I was going to ask, how does this normally work? So, like in
So,
your experience, and I know you have personally, you've been a sergeant on scene of police involved shootings.
yeah,
Well,
this
for,
this is this is this is honestly, as much as I hate to say it, very likely going to be an open shut,
I was going to say,
very quick deliberation. And I'm not saying anybody was morally justified. That's not for me to decide. I'm not saying anybody, whatever. I'm from the law. I think that officer will be justified
why?
because, and I don't think he should have been in that position. Well, hold on. Let me back up a second.
I'm going to
I,
tell a story about how I was in a similar position to this cop.
yeah. I'm going to back up a second and I'm going to say I've seen videos. I wasn't there. I don't have
Uh-huh.
any idea I don't really know what was going on, but what looked like was going on is it looked like this vehicle was blocking federal agents from either going down the road or going after somebody. I don't know. It looked like she was intentionally blocking
Hmm.
their path.
That's the report
They
I heard.
they pull up. I can't remember. I don't remember if they had lights on or not. But either way, they got out of the vehicle. They approach her. At that point, they decided that she was under arrest.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is we have talked about this. It's been over a year ago on the podcast that in American policing,
Yep.
the that it necessarily comes. It will come down to violence.
Up
If you're
to and
placed,
including taking your life.
yes, and I'm not saying that it's right. I think we've talked about the fact that we need to
More
revamp.
options.
Yeah, we need to revamp the system. But as it currently stands, if you're under arrest and you don't comply, the use of force is justified. Okay, so that's part of it. So
Yeah.
they order her to stop. For whatever reason, there was an officer in front of the vehicle.
Hmm.
Okay, she decides she's not going to stop. And whether that's fear, maybe, and that's legitimate. I'll give her that. I think that, and possibly I have no idea of her immigration status, but maybe maybe she was in fear of being deported. Maybe she was in fear of being held, without unjustifiably. Who knows?
Both of those things I think would be easily defeated or argued against.
In what way?
Because it because if she would she I don't think she had a fear of being deported or um her immigration status, because she willfully put herself, if the reports are true, if she showed it, and that's what it looked like, is that she was trying to, what would the words be that we would use, like the statute say,
Obstruct.
she was trying to obstruct their lawful duties of their duties, however they were doing it. um I think she forfeited those concerns. Man, I know I'm sounding like a cop, and I'm sounding like I got a flat. I'm sounding like I shaved my Jesus beard, and I lost a little bit of compassion. But man, I think when you play stupid games, you're bound to win stupid prizes. And in America in 2026, I'm not saying it's, yeah, I'm not putting any moral judgment on this. But if you, the listener, hear the words, "Stop, you're under arrest," just know that that cop is now legally justified to physically stop you however he or she sees fit. And if they say that they're, well, there's some caveats. That's not just a blanket statement, even though it definitely sounds like one. If they ever come to a spot where they are in fear of their life, especially after they said, or fear of their safety, if they can articulate that they're in fear of their
or
safety
or someone else's.
or someone else's, most likely in America there will be gunfire. If a cop, if someone, if that magic recipe is met, if someone says, and it doesn't have to be, but especially if someone says you're under arrest, and then you make any movement afterwards that puts that officer or another officer or another person in general fear of their safety, expect there to be gunfire nowadays.
Well, so we can go back to whether or not she was in fear, because I don't think that just
Yeah,
because
that's
she
what
put
I
her
was. That was my objection.
just because she put herself, I don't know, put herself there, I don't know if that necessarily means she wasn't in fear.
Negates. Yeah.
But in any case, she tried to flee, and you can see the tires spinning, and you
Hmm.
can see there's an officer in front of the car, and you can see when he draws his weapon after the tires are spinning, after she tries to flee, and he's in her path. And you could say, well, he could have jumped out of her way,
Yeah.
and all of this stuff though happens really fast, and it's there's a lot
Seconds,
there's a
split
lot
seconds.
there's a lot to process in that short amount of time. I hate that it happened. I hate that we're here. I hate that I hate all of it. I hate the fact that we're arresting and deporting the people that we were told wouldn't be deported,
Hmm.
that we're going after the people that we were told we wouldn't be going after. There's so much of it that I hate. Uh, I think that unless that officer is treated as a sacrificial lamb, which he may be, I think that he'll be exonerated, and I think that there's going to be a lot of violence, or potentially a lot of violence. I think there's going to
Hmm.
be a lot more fear. I think that it's just a
You think someone's gonna? You think there's gonna be protests in response to this lady getting shot?
oh for sure, yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt. And
Who?
I would
What
say in
group's
every
gonna be doing it?
I don't know that there will be a specific an organized group necessarily, but I think that if there is, I think honestly probably a lot of it's going to be white liberals.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
and not saying anything against them, but I think that's probably going to be the majority of the protesters. I think that there's going to be a sense of African Americans that say, now you see what we've been talking about. Now you see what we were marching on a couple of years ago. So
Hmm.
I think that there's potential, Black Lives Matter. Um, I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but I think there's going to be unrest.
You think there's gonna
And
be a fallout?
yeah, big time. And I think it's going to be in every major city.
Well, something that Trump seems pretty good at doing, and this his administration, they're magical at this. they're pretty good at creating another distraction. Like as soon as and it we're still dealing in the Epstein fallout, and we might get to that on this show, and we might not. But last year, as soon as things started getting real about the Epstein fallout, we bombed Libya.
Yeah.
And then things started getting real about the Epstein fallout again, and we bombed Iran. And we just been like every time there seems to be another big event that we're going to deal with, there's another one that keeps on going that happens at the moment.
I don't want to derail us. Have you heard about the theory of the Pizza Hut, the Pizza Hut
I've
theory
heard lots of pizza theories, son.
around the Pentagon?
No.
Apparently, before a major event,
Okay, yeah, go
I
ahead.
feel like you might have even told me this. Before a major event, like all of the pizza restaurants they're just inundated with orders.
Yeah,
And I think it's maybe a specific pizza. I don't know enough of it to really
it's the
tell the
Pizza
story.
Huts around the DC metro area before there's a major event. They all get inundated with orders because there's lots of staffers that are pulling like all-nighters in their
Yeah,
offices in the Pentagon and in all of these government buildings.
yeah. So I guess it wouldn't really make sense because I saw this TikTok today in the daytime, so it wouldn't really make sense. But what I was going to say is that I had seen a TikTok saying that the thermometer, uh, whatever the metric is that they use to determine that there's about to be something major going on, that was pinging today.
Dude, there has to be, I mean, nowadays there has to be, you never know. It could, I said this once last year on the podcast, or maybe I said of different versions of this, but like today in January 8th, 2026, you could look up in the sky and see Chinese paratrooping out of the show, like communist China paratrooping into the sky, and you'd be like, "Oh, that fits. They're invading Taiwan. I guess this is happening." There could be Russian forces paratrooping out of the sky. There could be Korean missiles going on. There could, I mean, for real, India and Pakistan were like arming their nuclear missiles last year, and President Trump de-escalated the tensions between India and Pakistan, but they were arming their nuclear missiles last year. The world has maybe never been closer to nuclear war than we are right now. Like you could Russia, it wouldn't be surprising to hear that Russia nuked Ukraine.
Yeah,
That would be devastating, and it
yeah,
would be, it would obviously signal the beginning of World War III, but you could kind of see that happening. Or you
yeah.
could see that we invaded another sovereign country overnight and bombed them and kidnapped their president and his wife overnight.
So I want to hear.
An hour and 29 minutes is how long they were in their boots on the ground. It's
I
pretty
heard.
impressive.
I heard they were listening to Chief Keef when they rolled up.
I didn't hear that.
Um, so, what are your thoughts on Minnesota, on the shooting?
On Man, so I haven't come down to like a moral judgment of it or not, but I had this discussion with some young people that I'm close with because young people, especially young people, get all of their information from social media nowadays.
Yeah,
And that has a course of a slant toward that content creator. Young and I've been having this discussion with young people recently, and the fact of the matter is, like, just those elements laid out, I knew without even hearing the whole story, I knew that this was going to be an open and shut, justified police shooting. I have been, maybe this is a story for another time, I don't know. But I was in a similar situation with a taser deployment. I didn't have my gun drawn. I happened to have my taser drawn, but I was affecting an arrest. I told someone, "Stop, you're under arrest," after I recognized them and I had probable cause for their arrest. They were trying to jumpstart a motorcycle while I was trying to approach him and tell him he's under arrest. Well, I got about 10 feet away from him, and the motorcycle kicked on and he started zooming toward me. I was standing in the gate. I was standing in the only egress option he had. But I was lawfully there. I was effecting the arrest. I was arresting him. I tased him. and there was some fallout over that. I was investigated for that. I was investigated pretty hardcore for that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Um, but still, just that got found. It was 100% because it's in the eyes of the victim, and the
That's it.
victim in this case is that officer.
And what is it? What's the threshold?
If you have to be in a reasonable fear of safety, personal safety, or safety of someone else's,
Yeah.
and
Reasonable fear of immediate bodily harm. It might be
yes,
great. I think it might be great bodily harm. But just if you take everything else out aside, take
yeah,
the players, take their what they were doing,
take
take
the emotions out.
take everything else out. You are in front. You're standing in front of a vehicle, and they're spinning their tires,
Yep.
trying to leave, and you're in, or at least you perceive that they are coming toward you.
Yeah,
Is
or
it
another officer
is it reasonable to fear that they could be severely injured?
hurt. Yeah, they could be ran over by a big SUV.
And that's it. That's the threshold. Now you can argue later, well, why was he standing there? Was it good tactics? Should they have even tried to stop her in the first place? That's that's not what's going to be investigated.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm certainly in a civil suit, but in terms of whether the shooting was justified, that's all that's going to be considered.
I guarantee you, his agency or this officer in this case is the Department of Homeland Security. Even though they're all MAGA and American guns and bald eagles right now, there is still at this point probably dozens of admin, maybe even hundreds of people, but definitely dozens of people in his admin that are reviewing his body cam, whatever footage there is, and making sure, interviewing him, putting him in a room, interviewing him 5, 6 times, making sure his story is straight. You felt fear of immediate danger for your body or someone else's
Mhm.
because that's all that they need, and that's what they got. So like I said, my perception on it is as soon as I saw it, I knew it was going to be an open and shut justified shooting. The real question is what were they doing there to begin with? They were in Minnesota, not the border. They're in Minnesota rounding up illegal immigrants. Is it clear that these people they were going after were violent? Is it clear that these people that they were going after were felons? Or is it the Home Depot workers and the school janitors that they've been rounding up? Is
Right.
it the fathers of Marine Corps veterans that's been here for 30 years, like in San Diego and LA, that they've been rounding up?
Right.
Is it and when in Gwinnett County when I was there, there was a construction site. They were building a schools up. They were building a school for the county, and ICE raided that construction site.
Yeah.
So that's I think the question that we should be asking is what the hell is ICE doing in these metropolitan cities targeting these obviously this isn't MS-13, this isn't the C&J cartel. These are workers and moms and dads, the people that said they
And
weren't going to be going after.
and again, we don't know who they were going after this particular day. We don't know what they were doing, but the what has been happening is the Home Depot raids and the
Yeah,
construction sites, and
the hotels and the
yeah,
cafeterias.
and that's what I hate.
Yeah,
That I hate that we're in this position.
that's not America. That's not the America that I want. That's not the America that I want.
It's not the
Um,
America we were promised.
so we can swing into some a little bit of a current events that's on the same plane. Erica Kirk and the her tour that she had in the aftermath of her husband's murder of glitter pants and firecrackers and walking out to Sparkles. And the end of December, she announced that herself and Turning Point USA are going to be endorsing JD Vance for president in 2028. Yay! So everybody's just supposed to fall in line because what we have is going good and we need to keep it.
Hmm. You know what? He's other than memes. I feel like I haven't really seen much of him. Is he?
JD Vance?
Yeah. Is he out there? Is he active, doing
Oh, I
stuff?
don't know. I saw a thing. The last thing I saw of him in my news app was he got in, he was someone took pictures of him having an argument with his wife in the White House cafeteria, and he was wearing a t-shirt and he seemed like he had lost some weight. I know he's been PTing with the SEALs out in San Diego. It seemed like
Okay.
his shoulders were a little bit buffer and his arms. Maybe he's on some test.
He's on that HGH.
Maybe he's on some HGH. His neck is getting a little thick. And he was screaming at his poor wife and she didn't look afraid. It didn't even look like she was screaming, but it looked like someone took a picture of them having a marriage conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A private moment. But that was the last thing I'd seen of him. But luckily, Erica Kirk has capitalized on her husband
Hmm.
and said Turning Point USA is endorsing him for 2028
Well,
presidency.
I don't want to skip. I don't want to skip by Venezuela.
Oh,
what's going on there?
so when was it? Was it the third, the morning of the third? I think at like 2:01 a.m. Venezuela time, Caracas time. The Ford, the carrier strike group Ford, has been parked off the coast of Venezuela for about a month, all of December, and the reports are is that CAG Delta Force went in with the 160th Airborne Division, SOAR Special Operations Aviation Regiment, and the videos show them flying in a tight formation and rocketing anti-aircraft sites and then lowering their little birds, scooping up. Um, oh shucks, I can cut out the silent time. Maduro, sorry, scooping up Maduro and his wife. Evidently, they were like that. Trump said that they were going toward their safe house door or their safe room door and just hadn't shut it yet. But the reports that I heard is actually that they were in their safe room, they just hadn't fully locked it yet.
Oh
And
wow.
CAG was able to snatch the door open and scoop up him and his wife. And it was boots on ground. They were back in they took them to the to the Iwo Jima, which is another type of carrier, but it's an amphib carrier. It's like a helicopter aircraft carrier. Took them back to the Iwo Jima. And boots. They were boots wet is what we call it. Whenever the boots are back on the boat in an hour and 29 minutes. Now, I'm against I'm against regime change. I'm against the military industrial complex. I am against US police stating the world.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, our boys are pretty
Are,
fucking badass.
I'm for badasses, and that's all of the things you said.
Yeah.
But that's flexing, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Just straight up, just
Fucking Putin,
snatched
take
him up.
note, son.
And so, on top of them rolling up listening to Chief Keef, the headline also said that he was protected by like 137 or 130 plus special force operators from somewhere. I don't know.
So I have some notes. I was prepared to do a deep dive into Venezuela, but if you want, I can give you a little timeline of the US's history, tumultuous
Well,
history.
well, I'm just curious, and I think probably most people, most critical thinking people are going to say and should say this is about more kind of what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. This ain't about drugs. If this
Well,
was about drugs, then we'd
Trump
have
said
been.
exactly what it was about afterwards.
Did he? What did he say?
Oh, he said it was oil. He was on his plane, and a reporter said, "Is this all about oil?" And he said, "It's about the oil. Yes, it's about the oil." His justification, even in his press conference afterwards, where he announced the arrest, he said that Venezuela and it's true under Hugo Chavez, when Hugo Chavez socialized the country in 1999, he took possession of American oil companies that were down there in Venezuela. Venezuela has these huge natural mineral reserves, like the largest oil reserve in the world. Diamonds, gold, cobalt, platinum. It's all there in Venezuela. Well, American companies had been going to Venezuela for decades. Shell, Chevron, Colonial Pipeline, the company I used to work for, had the infrastructure in Venezuela. We were tapping those resources, son. We were getting them out of that country. In 1998, Hugo Chavez is elected. He is best pals with Fidel Castro
Okay.
of Cuba. And much like Fidel Castro, he didn't start out communist. They're ardent Catholics. They're Masons. They're like Templars. They didn't start off communists. But what happened was is they had some political and social views that were different from the Americans, and so the Americans isolated Fidel Castro, cut off all of his supplies. That's when he became pals with the communists. Hugo Chavez, decades later, was a communist, was a socialist, but was elected by the people in a recognized, like confirmed election. Hugo Chavez was elected as the president in 98. In 99, he starts socializing, takes all America's stuff. Um, that keeps kind of escalating. In '07, I was on the USS George Washington and we parked a carrier strike group off the coast of Venezuela. We were going to do this back in '07. But we had Iraq and Afghanistan going on at the time. We did some low flyovers. Hugo Chavez decided to let Chevron back into the country, and that was that. Well, Hugo Chavez dies of stomach cancer in 2013, and Maduro reneges the deal, goes back and says, "No, this is Venezuela's oil," just like the same old thing. So Trump said, and he was true, like they swapped it from fentanyl, and then like in the last week before fentanyl, they said there's no fentanyl coming from Venezuela. Well, it's cocaine. Well, cocaine's very different than fentanyl, but
Right.
they changed the official story to cocaine. And then after we scooped up Hugo Chavez, Trump was 100% transparent, or not
Maduro.
Chavez, Maduro. Sorry, thank you. Trump was 100% transparent and said, no, this is about the oil. He actually even said he didn't talk to members of Congress, but he had been talking to CEOs of oil companies the night before and the day of, because he wants the plan on how they're going to get these oil platforms back up to snuff and back up to production. This is 100%. He's open. I mean, it was on the announcement afterwards. This is on behalf of the American companies that were down there getting Venezuelan oil.
So, what was involved in what gives the American companies the authority to be there to take the oil?
Well, that's the big question. That's the big quagmire. Is this is actually a violation of Article 4 of the UN treaty, which America is part of. We established the UN after World War II. President Eisenhower did, and Truman and Johnson. But they were, is that true? Not Johnson. But anyway, um, what gives America the or what gives any government the right to invade a sovereign country and take the freely elected president of any country? The real answer is it doesn't have that right. That's a violation of the UN treaty. Marco Rubio and President Trump have justified this a couple different ways, but they ended on saying in that conference that this was a police action. That actually Maduro and his wife were arrested. They were read their rights, they were read the Miranda rights, and arrested, and then flown on to the Iwo Jima and the Ford, and eventually to Miami. Now he's in the same jail as
I
Diddy.
saw that. I saw
He's in
that.
the same jail as Diddy.
I saw a video that was saying that basically this is like Arkham Asylum. Like
Yeah,
they have, it's where,
Epstein died.
yeah, and who was it that killed the United Health CEO?
Oh,
Uh,
Luigi
Louis
Mangione.
Mangione is there. Like
Dude.
there was a whole list of notable inmates at that prison. In fact, I think that El Chapo I think is there.
Oh, if not, he probably was there. I know he was in Chicago. He was standing trial in Chicago. El Chapo
Okay,
was, but he probably was there when he was getting indicted.
yeah.
Uh,
So what's going to be the fallout of that?
so Trump said that this is funny too. This lets you know there's so much about this. There's so many layers and layers to this story, which we can talk about more later. But Trump said that he had been in communication with, I can't remember her name, but the vice president. So Maduro's vice president, this lady vice president. And what's really telling about that, at least from what I got, is that he did not back the opposition, because there is an opposition group in Venezuela that was like remnants of the last president, who is a convicted drug trafficker, not Hugo Chavez, but the guy before Chavez, who is a convicted drug trafficker serving a sentence in American prisons. Trump pardoned him, didn't release him, but did not back him or his party to take over. Instead, they're working with the Maduro's regime. They're working with his regime. They just arrested him. And
Okay.
she, now after seeing her boss abducted in the middle of the night and her country bombed, is surprisingly or not surprisingly playing ball. She's playing
Yes.
ball with Trump.
Has some different political views.
Yeah, her views have changed since the middle of the night abduction. Um, but yeah, they arrested. That was their pretense, is they arrested him. They didn't back the party of the opposition. They didn't back the guy that they pardoned, who was the convicted drug trafficker. So you're accusing Chavez of drug trafficking, but you pardon and release a president who is a convicted drug trafficker. There is no known fentanyl in the United States from Venezuela. It's all coming from Mexico, or really from China and India via Mexico. Um, and on top of this, in the same month, so December, when we were planning to arrest, when we were getting this big master plan on arresting this president, was the same time frame that Trump was petitioning for a pardon of Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu is under investigation himself, not just by the International Criminal Court, but by the Israeli federal court. He had been up until that devastating, horrible Hamas attack on in October in 2023. Benjamin Netanyahu had been under investigation for bribery, corruption, and fraud. And there had been probable cause for his arrest. He was going to be arrested by, not by the International Criminal Court, but by Israeli federal police. And then October 7th happened, and they were in a state of emergency, and that had halted his criminal investigation. Well, in October, the same month that Trump was planning to arrest Maduro, he was petitioning the president of Israel, which is this guy, Herzog, is the president of Israel. Netanyahu is the prime minister. They're one of those countries that have both. They have a prime minister and a president.
Okay.
Well, Trump has been talking to Herzog, the president of Israel, to get Netanyahu his pardon. And Herzog is saying that that's not happening. So
Okay.
Netanyahu's not going to get a pardon, at least not from him.
Okay. Well, that'll be interesting.
But I just thought that was interesting. I mean, the perspective of like, obviously, it's not about drugs. You're using the pretense of an arrest to get to affect this regime change, obviously, just to help your oil pals, your oil CEO pals, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. But at the same time, you're petitioning for a pardon on this guy who's a little bit of a knucklehead, a little bit of
Yeah.
a troublemaker.
So is your perspective that it was not it's not about regime change, that it is about oil?
Well, it was a regime change for on behalf of the oil companies. We knocked out the big obstacle for Chevron and Shell to go in there and get their billions. And those Chevron and Shell and it's BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street are the biggest contributors to President Trump. Like they to every politician. It's not fair and not realistic to single out Trump. It's every elected politician besides a single handful that you know of.
Yeah. Because much like Israel has a president and a prime minister, where you might think that the president was in charge, we also have a president, but he's not in charge.
Yeah.
It's the donors. It's the corporations. They're the ones that are in charge. They're the ones that are calling the shots.
And it's not a conspiracy theory to say such. We've had, and it's obviously common sense, but we've had political insiders, staffers for elected officials say that you want to get your real concern heard, you have to donate.
Yeah.
It's pay to play from the local 7-Eleven owner in your local county to the board of commissions or to the county commissioners to BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street owning the federal and world leaders. It's all about who pays. You're doing it for them. If the CEOs of Shell and Textron and whoever want you to go to Venezuela, buddy, you're going to Venezuela.
You better figure it out, whether it's about fentanyl or war crimes or something.
We're gonna
We
have
don't we
something
don't
that
care.
sticks.
Figure it out.
Um, have you heard that ISIS, those knuckleheads, are killing Christians in Africa? And there's a couple war hawks in Congress that are Lindsey Graham and those guys.
I saw Lindsey Graham talking about war. Looked like he had a boner. It was weird,
Yeah.
but I didn't. And I don't remember. He was talking about Africa, but I didn't know what he was talking about.
ISIS, I guess, in some of the North African countries, and they do have a real presence there. Um, they've been rounding up Christians, and killing them. That's not justifiable. That's an awful thing that they're doing, that ISIS is doing. But I think it's of note to see that Lindsey Graham has beaten the war drum to go after ISIS, which is notable that the U.S. 100% created ISIS. That's not a conspiracy theory either. John McCain, the Republican, and President Obama, the Democrat, worked together in a bipartisan effort to arm Syrian rebels to defeat Assad. And one of those rebel groups, the major rebel group, they called themselves ISIL at first, and then they turned into ISIS. And after we armed them with American guns and American tanks to defeat Assad, they then rolled into Iraq and captured Iraq. It's 100% true that ISIS is an American trained and equipped terrorist organization. That's just history. Those knuckleheads are rolling up Christians and fighting them. At the same time, we have the new president of Syria coming to the White House playing basketball with JD Vance in the court, eating at the lunchroom, having these big pictures. He is an ISIS general. ISIS won in Syria. Like, our plan won in Syria. We trained the rebels. The rebels beat Assad. Our guys, ISIS, took over Syria. They're now at the White House playing basketball, eating ice cream, eating at the cafeteria with President Trump and JD Vance. The same time, Afghanistan is still being ran by the Taliban. The same time, most of the Middle East, like Iraq, is completely under control of the Iranian shadow government, which is why one of the reasons we wanted to invade Iran or Iraq was to stop that threat from happening, stop them from funding and training terrorists. Well, that's happening. The Middle East is just a shit show, I guess is where I'm getting at. The Middle
Yeah,
East is just.
the whole world is, man.
So, like I said, I mean, it could happen anywhere. Like, at any moment, we could say, oh, India's nuking Pakistan. Oh, China is invading Taiwan. Oh, Russia bombed Ukraine. Oh, America is invading another country somewhere around the world, like we
You
did
know,
many times last year.
I think it was on our last episode where we talked about if you hear something just wild, just crazy,
Yeah.
just give it a shot.
Give it a shot. Give
It
it a
might be
gander.
true. Yeah.
So that feeling of, I mean, that kind of echoes into my search for Buddhism. Like, I still believe, and I've said this before, and it might seem a cop out, but it's the truth, is I voted for President Trump. I voted for Trump because I thought he was the best alternative. And I still believe that. I still think he's better than a repeat of the Biden Harris administration, which is what we're going to get. I still think this is better than that. At least I hope so, because it's been a fucking train wreck since then. But I've been disillusioned. So that's where I was getting at, is that I've never bought off into the far left side. I have traditionally been a kind of right conservative guy, but even in the last 20 years, really, I've been distancing myself from that. Neither side is working out. Like Buddhism, I don't. Atheism isn't appealing, and theism isn't really appealing. Neither one of these. Is there a third option? Can I sit this out?
Yeah.
Can I play with myself in the corner?
Yeah. I think I don't know. I don't know
Well,
what to
the
think.
answer is yes. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. There is a third option. You can unplug. You cannot marry yourself to the identity politics of either side. You cannot marry yourself to any identity.
Well, I think it was you that I was talking to about this, about how it's funny to me that, like, think of NFL, think of
Hmm.
NFL fans, right? I'm a Chiefs fan. I love the
Yeah.
Chiefs, and so necessarily I hate the Raiders. I can't
Okay.
stand them, and I don't like the Broncos, and I don't like the Chargers, but I hate the Raiders. Max Crosby is a great example. I can't stand that dude. But you know what? If he was wearing a red shirt, I would think he was the best.
All right. He's on our side.
And it's the same thing. It's the same game wearing different jerseys.
Yes. Because
And
all of the never Trumpers, Ben Shapiro, JD Vance, Lindsey Graham, all these neocon warhawks that were, like I said, were never Trumpers, they changed to where they saw the writing on the wall. They said,
yeah,
"Oh, neocon's not working anymore. We have to put on this MAGA hat if we want to survive." So now these never Trumpers are all of a sudden super Trumpers. They're on our team.
yeah,
Yay, they're on our
yeah.
team.
Until it makes sense for them to switch.
Not. Yeah.
But it's the same whether you're conservative or liberal. Either way, the leader, it's they're playing the same game, just wearing
Yeah,
different
we're still
jerseys.
going to be playing regime change. Trump is doing what Obama did his entire president. Obama was the drone president. He's the one who, like 90, whatever, 90 times Bush's drone killings, Obama did like in his first month of office, just to affect regime change around the world. Trump's doing the same thing, except he's doing it the MAGA way. He's doing it with bald eagles and fireworks. They're doing the same thing.
Yeah,
the, they're all working for BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. No matter the magic words that they say, all the compelling thoughts and talking points that you hear, no matter what channel it's on, no matter who's saying it, the face that they're saying, they're not working for you. They
yeah,
really don't care. They just want your energy, your luge. They want you to
yeah.
support them. They want you to be their cheerleader. They want you. They definitely want you to vote for them. They want you to be on their team. That's the big point: is be on our team.
Yeah. Okay, we got about 10 minutes left. We've
Okay.
hit we've hit. We had a good hour of spiritual discussion. We had 50 minutes of current events. What do you want to talk about for our last 10 minutes?
Oh man. Um, I don't have anything keyed up. Um, there's the Somali daycares, which has been funny. There's plenty to talk about there. Oh, I can cut a lot of the silence out. I talked to you and T-Bone a little bit about this, but while I was on vacation, some of my dyed in the wool MAGA family members have become unabashedly, like unashamedly, not deniers, but I heard this a lot whenever I brought up Epstein and Trump and the files. I heard this from more than one family member of literally, are we still talking about that? And this doesn't affect me. So I have family members that some of these are military veterans, military war veterans, um, just your normal like aircraft worker, whatever, farm machinist, the normal MAGA guy, Midwestern MAGA guy, have bought the talking point of President Trump. I mean, this to say how big of a deal this was. Cash Patel, Dan Bongino, JD Vance, Pam Bondi, Trump, JD Vance all talked about disclosure and specifically the Epstein stuff leading up to them getting elected.
Hmm.
So for them to, we saw 2025 was just one big, I felt like, distraction from Epstein. That's all 2025 was one big distraction from Epstein. Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna passed a law to make it to declassify everything except for the victims um, in the Trump or in all of the Epstein files and made it mandatory for them to be released. They missed the deadline. They missed the first, I think, and second deadline. And then they released a heavily, like 90% redacted version, which violated the disclosure law. So Pam Bondi is like having to go back and re release all these things. what was, like I said, unashamedly and unabashedly in my face was these family members of mine saying that they no longer care. They obviously got these talking points from Fox News, and like this is the stuff that Trump said. Are we still talking about that?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so my view during Christmas was, this is funny because I've cut out smoking weed since then. I'm taking a break from weed right now,
Okay.
but when they said that they didn't care about the Epstein stuff, I took that as them exposing, in that moment, whether they knew it or not, they were exposing their shadow to me. They were exposing the worst part of themselves. Because although I didn't physically recoil, I felt sick to my stomach hearing people say, I don't care about Jeffrey Epstein anymore. This doesn't affect me. I'm still interested. I'm more interested in the economy. I'm more interested in the price of gas, the price of eggs, than I am teenage minor girls being abducted and trafficked and sexually abused and used as blackmail by members or at least workers of our own government and being protected by the highest actors in our government.
Mm-hmm.
They're more concerned about the price of gas and eggs than they are that. I was so disgusted that I started smoking weed in front of them. Not in their house, but like in the backyard.
That's
Like,
a flex. That's a bigger flex than smoking a cigarette in somebody's house.
yeah, smoking weed in someone's house.
Smoking, lighting up the pipe.
No, but I am, yeah, whatever. We've talked about this before. I'm a user of cannabis, and I probably still will be, but I'm just taking a break right now. But I talked to you and Teapot about this as it was going on. I'm like, these guys have told me it was more than one family member that said that they don't care about Jeffrey Epstein and the disclosure. So, unlike my passive, stupid, hippie, active, passive aggressive, active rebellion, I went out in the backyard and packed up a bowl and started like, if you're not gonna hide the worst part of yourself, I'm not,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna hide this anymore.
that's isn't that exactly what they wanted? That's exact. That was. I think that's been the play the whole time. Is just drag it out long enough, have enough distractions to where people just don't care.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
just they don't remember. It's not in front
There,
of them.
people are exhausted by it. I bet if people aren't invested in it, if they haven't been following the story, if they don't have an opinion on it, people are exhausted of hearing about Jeffrey Epstein. I bet,
Yeah, yeah, and
which is what they want.
it's exact. That was exact. Who knows? But I suspect that was the exact plan all along.
Yeah.
Drag it out long enough.
Well,
And that's true with, I mean, even the things we're talking about today. There's going to be enough shit go down in the next week that we're not going to be talking about Venezuela next week. We're not going to be talking about the ICE shooting because it's just nonstop crisis.
think about the 40 years you spent in church. Every Sunday you heard a Sunday school version of Come to Jesus. You know, preachers all around America every single Sunday give a watered down message of something loosely based on the Bible, and then there's like a social behavior plea in it, and it ends with, at least in my tradition, it had always ended with like a call to Jesus, a call to accept Jesus in your heart. Well, when you follow that plan, you never answer questions. You never answer the real questions. Like, hey, can we talk about this genocide that happened in the Old Testament? Can we talk about the book of Revelation? Like, can we talk about this hell thing? Can we talk about all the questions that is our thing on Lawless? You never get to that when you're always dealing with the next Sunday school sermon. Like, yeah, we're going to talk about that. But first, we're going to talk about this coat of many colors. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But first, we're going to talk about Rahab. Don't ask too many questions about Rahab. Actually, we're going to change the subject from
Yeah,
Rahab.
never mind.
Never mind. We're not talking about Rahab. Yeah. You always get to the next Sunday school distraction to where you forget the questions that you had. You forget the real objections that you had, even in your 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old brain. It's, oh, don't worry about that. We're talking about the Immaculate Conception this week. Oh, don't worry about
Or
that.
or next week we start a new sermon series on how you can date your spouse. You know,
Yeah.
great stuff, great life stuff,
Great life stuff.
but none of the real issues of does this really work for me?
Or none of the issues of like, there's suffering in this world. and I'm dealing with suffering personally. Is there an answer to this book to relieve me from my attachment and from my cravings? No, not really. Okay. I guess
Yeah.
I'll learn about the coat of many colors.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're right at 2 hours.
Yeah.
Um, it's been good getting back in the saddle.
Yep. We're laying out the routine for this year, but how we talked about this a little bit last year, but how the we want the layout to be working on Lawless is we're gonna have a couple mostly episodes of your homeboys of CB and J Dub. Kind of combine it for C Dub. That's the Megatron.
That's right.
Um, but we're gonna be getting in more guests every month. There's gonna be guests. We're gonna be getting T-Pac on the show. I think as a more regular, at least once a month. I want it if he can swing it with his busy schedule. We're gonna have once a month Garbage Boys. We're gonna have a guest once a month, and we're gonna have a couple, mostly your homeboys.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to dive into 26 even deeper. And like I said, we're leveling up, and it's gonna be pretty cool.
Okay, so you guys like, subscribe, heart, and share. Write into podcastlawless@gmail.com with your questions, concerns. We're still doing Lawless Bible study. We're still doing Lawless Confessions. We might change it up how we're sourcing these things. Some of them might come from other spots on the internet just to keep the wheels going, which I think is good anyway. I think it gives us kind of some separation in the confessions, which might be a little bit better for us. And yeah, 2026 is gonna be fucking rocking. 2026 is rocking.
Oh yeah. Well, the universe loves you, bro.
The universe loves you, and I do too. I want you to feel love.
Got it.
Got it.
All right. Until next time.
Till next time.